still think about it. And when I went back to the office, I worked with these two fellows, Rob and Dave, at the Anchor Bay office. And they said, well, if you can watch Serbian film, I can watch Serbian film.
Oh, boy.
I said, I'm not letting the DVD go out of this office. You cannot take it home. It will stain your TV. And if your kids see it for whatever reason, your wives will murder me. So no, this DVD cannot leave this office.
Welcome to Season 2 of the That Screening Podcast with JK. As we kick off our second season and move to episode 26, we look back and thank all the listeners, guests, and those who have supported this journey of personal cinema and lasting film screenings. Kicking off the new season, we present our second couples episode featuring two of the most important and passionate figures in Canadian genre cinema. Heading back to the 2010 Fantasia Film Festival, we welcome the inspirational producer who has been head of acquisitions and marketing for several different genre companies, the amazing Susan Curran, and her beau, the charismatic mind behind the cult classic My Bloody Valentine, filmmaker George Mihalka, to discuss their first formal introduction during the Montreal screening of A Serbian Film. A Serbian Film tells the tale of an aging porn star who agrees to participate in an art film in order to make a clean break from the business, only to discover that he has been drafted into making themed snuff films. Susan and George join us across the Zoom landscape to break down their first time meeting, the impact of this film personally, and the mark left by the film, plus the Fantasia Film Festival connection and origins, plus more on this episode of the That Screening Podcast with JK. Listen, share, and support That Screening on all major podcast platforms, including YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple, and iHeartRadio, as well as on Instagram and social media at A Strange Man in the Filmland Productions. Thank you for listening, and stay tuned for more weekly episodes as a part of Season 2. And please listen to the archived episodes of Season 1 right now on demand. Here on the That Screening Podcast, well, Season 2, we're flush into it, and we've got so many great episodes of personal cinema and lasting film screenings. Find them, YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud. So honored to have so many amazing guests that I've known. In Season 1, we had what I like to call my first couples episode, because film screenings are synonymous with first dates. With that said, the next time we brought it up as part of Season 1, it was with Toby Poser and John Adams. And they talked about The Plague at the Stockholm International Film Festival as their first film that they really connected with, their lasting cinema as a couple. I go all the way back, meeting you first time, Susan. I'll do the proper introductions in a second. First time at Fan Expo. Yeah. It's got to be 2017, 16. I want to say that's the first time. And then George, first time I talked with you was at Fantasia a year or so later. But I always remember, and it's one of my favorite episodes of Horror Happens, when you and Paul were on there talking about My Bloody Valentine. I love that episode. It was so good to hear both of you talk about it. Remains a favorite. So we are here for a very special couples episode, the second annual. Ladies first, we welcome to the program one of the brightest figures in the deep, dark corners of the horror genre for so many reasons, Miss Susan Curran. We also welcome her suitor, her man, Mr. George Mihalka. And if you don't know him from My Bloody Valentine, then you need to come out from underneath that rock. Welcome, you two. Thank you so much for taking the time. Welcome to That Screening. How are you two doing?
Really fine, thank you. And thanks for having us.
My pleasure. I was so happy to hear that both of you were wanting to come on when I invited. I love this. The first two seasons are very curated for a lot of different reasons. I got to say, I never expected the card to be put down in front of me on what your first date screening was? Where was it first date or where you first met?
Where we first met. We both
First
had
met.
significant others at the time.
Wow. Okay,
That is
fair enough.
that sounds spicier than it really is.
That's okay. That's okay. We've all been there. We've all done that. Probably a lot of people can connect to that out there in Radioland. So your first meeting,
Fantasia summer 2010.
summer 2010, it's scary because this film now is over 15 years and has a documentary through on Earth. That's terrifying to know that it has lasted as long as it has, is one of those infamous, I guess, cult classics. Susan, would you like to tell us the title of what we're going to be talking about on this episode?
We are going to be talking about the Serbian film.
Ah, Serbian film. George, how do you feel about that, knowing it's the first time you were going to meet Susan with the Serbian film?
Well, I had no idea what the Serbian film was about, and I had really no idea who Susan was at the time. I was introduced to Susan by Dave Alexander, who was the editor-in-chief of Rue Morgue magazine.
Of course.
And I met Dave a couple of years earlier when they interviewed me for My Bloody Valentine and what my opinions were about the remake and all those things. And since I lived in Montreal, Fantasia was basically my home playground. I was always very welcomed with the Fantasia family. Obviously, Bloody Valentine had a little bit to do with that. Ironically enough, the theater where the Serbian film was being projected,
right,
the same theater where my student films were projected back many, many years earlier
on Concordia,
at Concordia University.
Wow.
So this is where all my films from the Student Film Festival, Canadian Student Film Festival, and all of those festivals where I won a bunch of awards and so on. Strange situation for me to be walking into there. There was quite a crowd. It was the Serbian film was one of the films in competition.
Completely sold out.
Sold out.
Wow. And that's a big room, folks.
Yeah, it was at 7:00, I think a 7:00 screening. So Dave introduced us
in the lobby.
And oh, this is Susan Curran from Anchor Bay, and this is George Mihalka, directed My Bloody Valentine. Hello, Susan, how you doing? Nice to meet you. Time to go in. So we talk a little bit. Susan's talking to David. By the time we get in, there's like no place left. We're next to each other, and it just happens to be 2 seats left way up on top. So we ended up sitting together.
Wow. Destiny in hand. Yeah. I love it. I love it. It's
so
a great
we ended up watching the film.
Okay, Mr. Horror Director, no judging.
Yeah. So we watched the film, which we'll talk about in a minute or two.
Yeah.
When the film was over and the lights came up, both Susan and I kind of looked at each other, and Susan said,
well, first I said, do I look like a raccoon? Because I was sure my mascara was all over my face.
My God.
And then I said, when he said, no, you don't, I need to bleach my brain. And he said, can I buy you a drink?
Wow. So it was really, oh my God.
Yeah. And we went and drank vodka sodas and tried to digest and talk about what we had just unpack this movie that was so upsetting, so well executed, and just why did I enjoy that movie so much when it was so wrong and dark?
It's one of those things, and in the years I've been in education, and I won't name names, not a Serbian film, but the Human Centipede franchise has been a big figure of teachers who have that risque movie that they talk about when people aren't around, when the kids aren't around. A Serbian film is starting to move into that echelon of it, especially with the documentary that's there. Susan, real quick, unpack Fantasia. There's a lot to unpack in Fantasia. Yeah. Why is Fantasia so significant, not only to film and cinema, but to the film festival community? Could you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I mean, Fantasia is, it started as a Asian movie, that kind of thing. And then it just broke into genre. So there's still a heavy undercurrent of Asian films, comedies, horrors, romance, and it's a really big part of the festival.
Kung Fu.
Yeah.
Yes. Always got the ramen bowl, folks.
I'm not sure,
right.
Yeah.
But then over the years, it just became the place to see genre films, all different kind, action, horror, supernatural, and from all over the world. The best thing that I can say about Fantasia is that the people that attend Fantasia want to love your film. It's
Yes.
like they're going to see their favorite rock band from when they were 18.
It's a
They
great
go
analogy.
in and they just, the energy in the room, it doesn't matter what movie, what language it's in, it doesn't matter. The audience is there to have a good time and enjoy your film.
The other thing about Fantasia, if I may say so, is it is so unpredictably eclectic in its selections. I don't know any other festival where you could see some strange comedy anime one afternoon and then walk into the Serbian film right after. It's become to me the go-to, one of the few things that I know. If people ask me, where are you? End of July, I just say Fantasia.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's in its 30th year this year.
Yeah. Yes. It's a huge milestone for it. I've had the chance to go to a handful, not nearly what many people have. And it's such a staple for Canadian filmmaking and Canadian cinema. And it's up in Montreal. It's 3 weeks. There's so much in the middle of it. You've got the frontiers and all the networking and all the people coming in. And then it's sandwiched with just amazing guests and people and celebration.
Well,
It's a summer camp.
Oh yes, it's our summer camp for sure.
Exactly.
But I'm gonna say it's international films.
Right.
Yes, big celebration of Canadian films, but honestly, it's the best from around the world.
I would agree. And, there's very few festivals in that top tier that really exemplify what it means for a film festival. It really does encompasses so much. And you really can't pull to too many in the United States. Almost nothing in the United States tops what's there at Fantasia or abroad. Let's get back to the relationship element of it. You guys have known each other a long time now. You're together. You have a really polarizing film that was your first meeting. Talk about why both of you love cinema and how that connects you two. I think that's something really, really important. Susan, I'll throw it over to you first.
It's funny because George and I, if we both really like a movie,
Yeah.
It's odd because
Okay.
what I like and what George likes aren't necessarily the same thing. That being said, George has showed me films and George has said, "Oh, we need to watch this." And if it weren't for him, I wouldn't have seen it. And I've loved them, and maybe even more than he loved them.
Wow.
We do have different tastes in filmmaking styles and storytelling styles. I love a good slow burn. I love good folk horror. I love all of that. George gets a little antsy.
You and me both, George. You're the same.
Yeah. I'm of the John Dunning from Cinepix school of film audience, where John used to say, "If my ass starts getting itchy, I don't want to stop. I want to stop watching it immediately." I like my films to be moving at a little more than glacial pace.
So
let's put it that way.
Itches your ass doesn't itch my ass.
Sometimes not.
This is the relationship, the next layer here on that screening, folks. We're getting the next layer.
But one of the other things that's interesting about our relationship that way, Susan is way more knowledgeable about genre cinema than I am. I've got very eclectic tastes in the sense that I love horror as much as anybody else.
Right.
But I also love comedy. I've made comedies. One of my all-time favorite movies is Cabaret.
Yeah, it's a wonderful film. Wonderful film.
It's a bit of a horror movie.
Yeah.
Hey, Susan, I couldn't agree more with you about that. That's that ending is one of the most terrifying endings of all time. Continue, George.
But on the other hand, one of my all-time favorite horror films, aside from I guess Serbian film may not be it, is Possession.
Talk about a very over dramatic. In fact, Obsession is kind of tailoring into that with the female performance.
The only slow burn I like is The Tenant.
Polanski. I just listened to the Ninth Gate commentary with him talking about that film. And no matter what you might think of Roman Polanski, he is a brilliant filmmaker.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Incredible. So, Susan, were you going to say something?
Obsession is on my list to see. It's exciting and good on the team.
I love it. So A Serbian Film, you're in the big auditorium. Do you remember where those two seats were? Because that's really happenstance. There just happened to be two seats.
I do actually. In Concordia, it's split into two sections. You've got
Right.
the main auditorium, and then there's that big wide kind of aisleway, and then it goes into the second half. We were
Mhm.
just at the top of the first half to the right side, like
Yeah.
maybe fourth
From the top.
from the top, about four in.
No, I was on the edge.
Were you on the edge?
I was on
Okay.
the edge.
I was second then. And
Yeah.
then there was a young woman beside us who was there. I didn't know her, and she was there by herself.
Oh boy.
And she was getting visible after I said, okay, Mr. Director, don't judge me. I found myself in the middle of the movie rubbing his back because it is really upsetting.
It is really upsetting.
He's cowering and kind of half looking. This girl, hot tears are streaming down. So luckily I got to go into complete mom mode.
Nice.
And I'm rubbing George's back and I'm patting her leg and I'm smiling and I'm giving her encouragement like, yes, we're going to make it through this film.
Go, George.
That is interesting for me is, as the director once said, it's about Serbia and about what happens in a country that under so much oppression. And I come from the country next door to that, Hungary. One of the reasons why I had such a hard time with the film at the same time as loving it was because it was too personal.
Wow.
Because everything that was happening in there, I got.
Yeah.
I got right away.
Maybe not the horse tranquilizers and
yeah.
Oh boy,
raping,
yes.
But
Spoiler alert, folks.
But the whole the atmosphere, the attitudes, everything about it was so close to home for me.
Wow.
15 years later, or 16, it's going to be 16 years this summer.
Yeah.
I see that movie vividly in front of my eyes if I close them.
Wow. That's impactful cinema. Let me just continue on with Susan, what you brought up. George, you could have sat there by yourself. Things had been broken a little bit different. Even seconds had happened where you two didn't meet. How important was it to have Susan next to you, or just have someone next to you for anyone to just kind of console with because of how personal it was? What did that mean to you to have her next to you, especially?
Well, it was one of the reasons why I asked her for a drink, is so that we could carry on talking, because I just felt that she was a kindred spirit.
Wow.
It was comforting to know that there was somebody next to me who also understood my emotional state, or was attuned to my emotional state watching this film.
Wow. See, that's so nice. I love it. I love it. I'll just throw it real quick outside of the screening. Susan, have you felt that way during screenings, during the time you two have been together, where he's been there as a support for you?
Yes. Do you remember Jen Lynch's movie Chained?
Oh God, yes. But yeah, of course, that's just a powerful film.
I sat through it because Anchor Bay was distributing it.
Right.
And I watched it and I knew all about the movie. And when it came to the screening, Jen was there and there was a big entourage and it was sold out. So I wasn't going to take a seat because I'd already seen it. And because I didn't think I could sit through it again. I had a son that age that was in the film. And this one I have a sensitive, lovely boy. And I didn't think I could sit through it again. And Jen said, "Oh, sit." And what do you do?
Oh boy.
Go, no, I'm not going to watch your film, lady. So George sat beside me and he just kind of nudging me, keeping me from closing my eyes.
You're good. Yeah.
Jen's such an amazing filmmaker, and she's got such an incredible voice with it. One of the great things about Fantasia, and in between the time you guys left the theater and decided to go get a drink, you're going through people. You're going through a lot of people you probably know in that audience. And that seems to be everyone knows each other for the most part. If not, you'll know each other very quickly, because especially waiting on the lines, you're talking to people, you're being around people. That's one of the beautiful things of Fantasia. Did you bump into any other people that you knew that you had to expel what that was like to go through an experience like that?
I remember the energy going into the film.
Right.
Like I said, rock show, we're going to see Guns N' Roses.
Right.
It's going to be great. Whatever floats your boat. This is super exciting. When the film ended, there was a collective sigh of relief. I think people let their breath out for the first time in 90 some odd minutes. There was this moment. And then people just got up and left. And it was actually kind of quiet.
Yep.
Nobody was saying anything.
The exit crowd,
right?
It was like walking out of a funeral.
Wow. Wow.
It literally was. I think most people left in shock.
But the other thing is, the director,
Surgeon. I think that's how his first
thank
name
you.
is Surgeon. Yes.
He's fabulous. He came out and we were lucky enough to get a Q&A because it honestly, a gut reaction, not Susan from Anchor Bay, but Susan the mom and, all
Right.
that, was why? It's a great story. It's well executed, but why? Like I just
Why?
couldn't even articulate. But then he got up and did a Q&A and he went on to talk about that this film is an allegory for being Serbian and how you feel being Serbian. And there's a key moment in the movie, and he just basically said, you feel like you're fucked from birth. I was on the jury that year, so I had to go see this film. And I thought to myself, I wish that the Walmart buyer
Can see
was
that quote.
here to hear this so they would understand why Walmart should sell this film.
Wow.
Because I was in distribution, so my brain has to go there.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, nobody's ever going to see this film.
Yeah.
Like that was my business thought. After the Q&A, all of a sudden, what we sat through and saw that was so upsetting, all of a sudden became living it. I get to go home and have Twizzlers and hug my kids and not ever have to think,
double vodka soda.
have a double vodka soda and not think about that happening to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I did think about it. I still think about it. And when I went back to the office, I worked with these two fellows, Rob and Dave, at the Anchor Bay office. And they said, well, if you can watch Serbian film, I can watch Serbian film.
Oh, boy.
I said, I'm not letting the DVD go out of this office. You cannot take it home. It will stain your TV. And if your kids see it for whatever reason, your wives will murder me. So no, this DVD cannot leave this office.
Yeah.
Wow. George, anything to add to that before?
It's a hard one to add, but I mean, the reality is it's exactly that. This was at the time in Serbia's history too, where it was literally run by gangsters.
Right.
I mean, that was the time, and the same thing happened in Russia just a little earlier. Then Russia exported all their gangsters to Hungary and to Serbia. So it was a gangster economy. And this whole story is about that. And but the reality, as he said, is our history keeps repeating itself.
Wow.
We've been fucked and we will be fucked, for as long as we live from birth. Watching that film just made me realize how fortunate I was that my parents had the courage to leave when they did, and that I was, from the age of 10 on, was brought up in a society, a free society, of law. And so to me, there was just so many swirling emotions about this film, and about myself, and about, how absolutely I should never complain one more time about anything.
You know what? That's one of the great things about cinema, let alone horror genre cinema, that you live vicariously through it, but you also reflect on how fortunate you are when it comes to it. I just want to thank both of you real quick, because you're going above and beyond and sharing how you feel. And I'm sure I can see the looks on your face. I'm sure it's not easy to talk about this, especially with a film like this. So thank you for being as honest and forthcoming with it. I wanted to say that right now. Susan, you said something that I normally bring up in a lot of the episodes, and that's how you go in and how you leave. When did that switch flip for you where you went, you know what, I'm no longer the Anchor Bay rep and the person distribution, but I'm a mom now because this is hitting me different? First to you, Susan, then you, George.
Well, the ending of that film is such a gut punch.
Right.
I don't know, are we spoiling? Are we talking?
If you haven't seen it in 15 years, I don't know what to tell you.
Okay.
When, in fact, I can tell you right now, it's really not available. Let's see. Is it available anywheres? It is not available anywheres on IMDb. So, yes.
Oh, no, that would never be shown anywhere.
I also noticed that it only has 43% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I'm going to assume that the people who watched it didn't get a good Q&A afterwards.
Probably not, and it's well needed when it comes to a film like this.
I mean, no offense to amateur critics of Rotten Tomatoes, but
here we go.
Well,
There you go.
That's
no,
fair.
it is a
Yeah.
hard film, and I understand why people would question why this film was ever made. I
Of course.
do,
Yeah.
out of context,
It's a tough one.
it makes Human Centipede look like a Disney ride because Human Centipede is so
Well, it's
out
just,
there
yeah,
and crazy.
Human Centipede is really a satirical gimmick.
Yes.
Exactly. Tom Six is, yes, very much.
And very cool. I mean, I've talked about Human Centipede when I've given classes, but for not that reason. I mean, the reality of Serbian film is, in a strange way, it's almost like a Ken Loach film.
Okay.
It's working class. It is brutal in its depiction of the human condition.
Yes. I think of Threads when I think of something of a Serbian film. I think of Threads.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, and because it is so in your face, brutal.
But it's real. The stuff, it's not make believe.
Yeah,
right.
It's not,
And,
a guy in a mask with a knife.
Right.
These are things, everything that happened in that film, somebody could do to you, which is just.
Which is what was the incredibly terrifying part about it, is that the same way, I could be drugged.
Yes. Let's not go into any further with that. That's a good statement right there, George.
Yeah.
But where did that switch flip where you went from, Susan, for you, from being someone who's there as a distributor to someone who's there as a mom, as you had stated?
Halfway through, when I realized that this was family and this was day-to-day life for these people, being a mom is a superpower, right?
Yes.
So it put me in, if I can take care of these two, I'll be okay. So that's how my mind works. As I said, I was on the jury that year.
Yeah.
And, you don't really talk about being a mom while you're at Fantasia because the two should stay completely separate. Mitch Davis, the curator, offered me a DVD and he said, if you want to watch this at your own pace, you can. And I thought, no, I need to see it with an audience. That's not fair because I won't watch it. I won't, I'll stop it. I'll fast forward. I'll make myself not uncomfortable. So I made myself go and see it with an audience so that I could give the film a fair assessment.
Let me throw it out to this as we wrap this up. There is a silver lining. You two are sitting right there next to each other. You could have come up with a lot of other screenings to talk about, but you talked about some. But I think this episode is so important because it shows the human side of human horror. And human horror is arguably the most terrifying horror you're going to be able to find, that connection. And as you said, it's not a man with the mask or an axe or whatever. It's something that really could happen when it comes to it. Is this for you a top 5, I'm going to say couple screening because you both were there as a duo screening. Is this a top 5 impactful duo screening for you?
I'm going to say duo and singular. This
Perfect.
movie, I'm proud of myself for sitting through it and being able to watch it. I'm proud of myself to be able to appreciate it.
Right.
I know that sounds like a weird thing to say, but when you're me in the distribution world that I'm in, you'd understand.
Yeah. Understood. Fair enough. George, would you agree with that this is a top 5?
Absolutely. If anything, I would say it's the top 1.
Wow.
Like I said, we have our differences. I like my films to be based more on reality or probability.
Right.
I'm not a big fan of serial killers who walk really slow but catch up to young kids running very fast.
The American way, folks.
Yeah. That shit really turns me off. Yeah. So I'm much more of if it's plausible, that scares the shit out of me. And this film is about as plausible as you can get. At the same time, it basically pushes everything to its absurd limit.
Wow.
But still remaining grounded in reality. That is the magic of this film that I will never forget.
So I want to thank both of you for doing this episode. I appreciate your time and everything that you've given during this episode. We'll go gentlemen first because we'll finish with the lady to tell us what is one word first, George, for you that describes the screening and why.
1984.
Oh.
1984. Why?
Plausibility.
Fair enough.
We're living it.
Susan, take us home.
Jesus, that was dark, George.
Yes, it was, George.
One word to describe it. If exhilarating had a negative connotation.
Make sure to listen in, share, and support That Screening on all major streaming podcast platforms, including YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple, iHeartRadio, and more. Plus, follow us on Instagram at A Strange Man in the Film Land. Thank you for listening and supporting the That Screening podcast with JK.